All right, guys, we're going to get into the Caleb Downs fear that exists in Columbus. But last week, last episode, because Tony Alford went to Michigan, you used that as justification to go ahead and move your Michigan panic meter. Am I correct? Have I misquoted you?
I moved out of the dark gray and just into the light gray a little bit. Yeah, listen. I needed, and I actually said this a couple weeks ago because let's be honest, Nick. Every week it was basically just us coming on here and telling people, well, we're not going to do the Michigan panic meter because it's just the same. Nobody's worried about Michigan, so we needed something to interject some life into the Michigan panic meter segment, and so I have now moved into the light gray, and I think the spring game will be a perfect opportunity to see if my panic changes at all. If I go back into the dark gray and I feel good about it, and then it could change again if the Monday after when the transfer portal reopens back up. There's a lot of people who are transferring out of Ohio State, or if Caleb Downs really leaves or something like that. So there's opportunity aplenty to breathe some life into the Michigan panic meter segment.
You're addicted to the struggle. You're addicted to panic. And I get it. I'm not. Listen, to each their own. We all have our own special journeys on this planet. A running backs coach who left, and I think like when you see the details of the contract, apparently he got like a $75,000 raise, which is nice. But let's be honest with you, like that's $75,000 raise to go to the arch rival, and then I don't know if you saw, but he put out like a cryptic tweet about how they only hate you when you leave because you were so good. And it's like, no, Jack, they hate you because you went to the arch rival. Yeah. You could have gone back to Notre Dame. Nobody would have hated you. You could have gone to Cincinnati, could have gone to be a head coach, could have gone literally Michigan State, Indiana, Purdue, Penn State, Oregon. You could go to any Big Ten school and they wouldn't hate you. We'd be like, damn, I hate to lose that guy. You went to Michigan, stop playing it. So defiantly, I am keeping my Michigan panic meter at zero panic. All right, to show you the way of your slippery ways and everything. I'm defiantly just not moving my Michigan panic meter. Now, interesting rumor that the one message board rumor that I saw was that Oklahoma's DeMarco Murray came very, very close to accepting the Ohio State job. He had interviewed for the job, but then he was offered an offer he could not refuse. And then the other is that Stan Drayton is very interested in leaving Temple as the head coach to come to Columbus to be the running backs coach, which obviously he was from 2012 to 2014.
Yeah.
So those are just kind of the latest on the rumor mill on that.
Well, that one's fascinating because of what we talked about last week with Chip Kelly, right? Like head coach at another program, leaving to take a lesser role. Now for Chip Kelly, he gets to do what he's always wanted to do anyway, which is like, I'm just focusing on the offense and running the offense and I get to coach. But for Drayton, it would be sort of a multiple levels of like a step down, as he would just go be the running backs coach. And maybe that's what he wants, but I just find that fascinating. It's another example of like, okay, there's these top tier programs that can just offer you a better opportunity in terms of like reinventing yourself in the same way Nick Saban did with all these OCs over the years, to maybe then find another job somewhere else if you're unhappy with your current situation. So Ohio State almost feels like it's becoming like a coach rehabilitation center for some people who want to like maybe improve their image or find a job down the line that they sort of save themselves or fix themselves at Ohio State in the meantime.
I mean, Drayton is 6-18 in 2 years at Temple, and he's 2-14 in the American Athletic Conference. So it could also be much like Chip Kelly. Hey, I don't really have a chance here at Temple, so I might as well go back, regroup, maybe reboot my career, and see if a couple years down the road.
That's what I was like that. Yeah, that's what I was implying, though. It's like it's kind of like a rehabilitation stop for a coach. I don't mean that as like a for Steve Sarkisian, for example. Alabama really was like a rehab center for him. But I'm saying like from just like an image of a coach, it's a chance to kind of be like clean slate. It's almost, I'll compare it to like Mitch Trubisky, for example. Mitch Trubisky got drafted by Chicago, didn't pan out. He goes to Buffalo, backs up Josh Allen, and all of a sudden, what did you hear the next year? Oh, Mitch Trubisky, I don't know. Like he was learning from Josh Allen for a year. There might be something there. He just needs a better system. And then he goes to Pittsburgh, and we all realize he was the same guy he was in Chicago. So it's like a chance to almost like wipe your slate clean and almost rebrand yourself. And I think that's appealing to certain coaches, especially like Stan Drayton, who, like you said, that hasn't had a very good time at Temple and doesn't have the resources. He goes to Ohio State and kind of reinvents himself.
Some of us thought Mitchell Trubisky sucked the whole time, but that's just this fella. So we were talking about the Caden
Hey, be
Proctor
careful. They
thing.
might be waiting for you in the Halley building. Like that.
I know. I saw the Trubiskys. And here's the thing. I wasn't intimidated, but I was like, if I have to fight multiple Trubiskys, I'm just going to have to do it. All right. I've got the size advantage. I got the weight advantage. I got the reach advantage. If I have to do it, I'll defend myself is what I'm saying. But we were talking about the Caden Proctor thing, and there is considerable panic in Columbus that Caleb Downs could follow suit because Caleb is he's taken Ohio State out of his handle. I will say Caleb Downs is a significant enough player. If Caleb decided to go back to Alabama, or if he went to the portal again and just took the money and run, a la the optics of what it looks like Caden Proctor did, Caleb Downs leaving Ohio State should be one of the things that changes how we feel about this season. Maybe not the Michigan panic meter, but Caleb is the kind of guy who can take that defense from, all right, they're a top 10 defense to being a truly the best defense in the nation. And he's the kind of guy that could take over multiple playoff games. That's really his reputation as a safety.
I agree. I think it would alter my panic meter a little bit more just because you lose a guy like that. I mean, he's that type of impactful talent on this roster. I will say, I don't know. Like, you never know what to make of he unfollowed this and followed that. Now, I will say somebody pulled up that he still follows Tim Allen, who's or Tim Walton, excuse me. I don't know why I said Tim Allen. Like, this is home improvement. No, he still follows Tim Walton, who's the Buckeyes DB coach. And so, for whatever that means, like, obviously he's the one who's probably had a big role in recruiting him and bringing him to Ohio State, and they've spoken very highly of Tim Walton. So that means something. I know he was at Ohio State's pro day the other day. I saw there was a picture of him chalking it up with C.J. Stroud. So there was like talk that he was on some, like, a bunch of these Alabama guys went on like the same spring break trip or something like that. And that's part of what lured Proctor back. And I don't know, like, maybe that means that Downs goes back. I don't know. But I would think, like, it's not like Caleb Downs is coming to Ohio State and they're like, hey, you really got to earn your stripes here. Like, they know what he is. They know how good he is. He's going to start from day one. He has a great chance to win a national championship. And I don't see there. Oh, there was also, I saw the group, the collective that I think is working, that has money involved with Caleb Downs. They tweeted something out the other day that was that along the lines of like, hey, Caleb's 100% here. You know, we're happy to have him along for the ride. And he just told us he's all in or something. So again, that could be fodder. That could just be them like going off of what they've been told. And that doesn't mean other people aren't showing up or DMing Caleb Downs and to like what you said with Proctor and being like, hey, we can offer you more than the Ohio State collective. Come on back. So I'm not saying that that's impossible, but like, it sounds like, at least from the indications are now, and the transfer portal window doesn't officially open until April 15th. It sounds like he's here, and I don't know that that's going to necessarily change. Now, maybe it does. I don't know. If we get to that point, obviously we can assess what our panic level is, but
yours will be high.
I'm kind of subscribing to the idea that as much as I like to panic, Nick, like, I'm really not all that worried about him leaving. I just think
leaves.
Well, yeah, then if he leaves, I'll be a wreck. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's going to, from the sense that I get, and just from people who said, like, yeah, I mean, he's engaged in the program, he's there, he's around, he seems happy. Now, again, we never know, because sometimes cryptic social media actions can speak to deeper intentions of somebody, and so maybe that's what's happening here. But I try not to read too much into that stuff all the time. Sometimes it means nothing. Sometimes it means something. I'm not like, if we're talking on the scale of like a panic meter, I'm at like a 0 right now in terms of him leaving. I think he's going to stay.
So I just think there's a big difference between what Iowa can pay somebody and Alabama can. I don't
It's
know
true.
there's a significant difference between what Ohio State can pay and what Alabama can pay. And so I think I am I don't intrigue's the wrong word,
It's fun.
but
It's funny, Nick, that you say that too, because what were we talking about like a year ago? I mean, not on this podcast because this didn't exist a year
I was going to
ago.
say I don't remember what I talked about a month ago, let alone a year ago.
Well, neither do I. That's why I forgot what I said about Jeremiah Smith. Anyway,
I will not forget 351 yards and 3 touchdowns. I $1 Bob the shit out of you.
But it's funny. Like a year ago, this time we probably would have been saying, I don't know. Like Ohio State doesn't seem like they're really taking the collective stuff seriously, and they keep saying they don't have a lot of money to offer. So it's just funny that in a year's time, that's completely changed. Where now we're like, yeah, Ohio State money is up there with Bama money and Georgia money, and Iowa money is much lesser. So it's just funny how far we've come, even within a year of this new era. That Ohio State's now like a top dog, and they're actually taking it seriously.
I am intrigued. I'm interested in this situation. I am not concerned as of yet. And a lot of it is just maybe a little Ohio State hubris going on here. Now, you
True.
mentioned the Alabama guys, even former Alabama guys going on the same trick. Does that not scream a little bit like, I'm not trying to say Epstein Island, okay, but doesn't it scream like a little bit of
Please
like,
don't.
again,
That is
I imagine
definitely
there's
not
just
what we
like a
want to
Southern dandy textile, mercantile man that's just like, Mr. Caden Proctor, can I invite you to my private
I'm picturing a
island?
scene from Django Unchained right now, like
Oh,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
how did you go to the worst place? I just went to like
Well, the
a
way
place, an island of ill repute. You went to Django. No, that was not the kind of weekend. That's not
is
going to get
that
Caden Proctor back to Alabama.
well, the Alabama governor is getting rid of DEI stuff at public schools, so I don't know.
Now you're going political. This is weird. I was just trying to make a funny thing that it's like they went to like they traveled first
You
class.
started talking like Colonel Sanders. It was like,
No,
I don't know what
that
kind of
was
vibes I'm getting here.
yeah. Okay, wait. Because he's a southern dandy and a mercantile man. Because now I sound like Benoit Blanc from Glass Onion, or from Knives Out. No, my point is that he gets all these former Alabama players on a jet to like Fiji, and there's countless beautiful women, and there's stacks of money, and he's like, now does this happen in Iowa? And then the answer is no. So like I'm trying to paint a picture of an Alabama booster like coercing these kids with money and sex back to Alabama, and you turned it into a very, very dirty and tawdry
Okay,
thing
well, this
there.
conversation started with you calling it Epstein Island, so I think
Well,
that's even
literally
darker. That is way darker than where I went.
okay,
Okay,
Epstein Island without the sex trafficking. The girls want to be there. Okay,
yeah,
like that.
okay.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a nice place to party. Like come on, you sully this whole thing. I started this off on a real sure footing, and then you with that Django reference, you really stepped in it there, Spencer.
Sure, I stepped in. Okay.
I'm glad we agree. All right, guys, leave your messages on 92.3 The Fans, or leave your comments on 92.3 The Fans YouTube channel, or at Nick Wilson says at Spencito _. Do you have any panic that Caleb Downs could be heading back to Alabama or leaving Ohio State? He did he did take Ohio State football out of his profiles on social media. Are you panicking? Of course, next week we'll have the latest from practice. Practice rolls on. We're marching ever closer to the spring game. So make sure to be following Sons of the Shoe wherever you get your podcast so you have the latest. Don't miss the latest on this. And we're talking Apple, Spotify. I said that weird. Apple, Spotify, the free Odyssey app, 923thefan.com. Apple, that's a great place to follow us. But follow Sons of the Shoe wherever you get it. And we'll see you guys next week. Spencer, you were a little slippery today. You went a little Anthony Lima, but I'm proud of you. I think we've rehabbed you, and I think this lesson that I've taught you on the $1 bobbing on Jeremiah Smith's numbers, it's going to be for your own good.
Not when he hits 350 yards on the dot. Just wait.
Yeah. And then I will appeal the statistician in the Michigan game to be like, I think that was an extra yard there. I have unknown power, Spencer. Spencer, good stuff, buddy.
Thanks, Nick. You too.
Go Bucks.